So more than 100,000 demonstrators emerged today on the streets of Washington, D.C. to protest the election, as President Trump continues to say it was a fraud. There was corruption. The president is certainly within his constitutional rights to say that, and the protesters are exercising their constitutional rights to agree with the president and dissent from the vote. The reason that this was held today, this mass protest, again, north of 100,000 people, a big crew, is because Congress is in the process of certifying the electoral votes, which would mean that Joe Biden would be president when that is completed. They do that on Capitol Hill. It is overseen by Vice President Mike Pence. Now, Mr. Biden will be, and I emphasize the words will be, sworn in as president 2 weeks from today. Nothing is going to stop that. The protesters should know that. Some of them do, some of them don't. But again, the protesters have a right to vent their anger over allegations of fraud in the election. That is a protected right. But earlier in the afternoon, things began to get out of control. The first thing that happened was President Trump himself gave an address to his supporters outside of the White House. It was pretty much the same thing he has said. The election was stolen from him and the people who voted for him. This was the most egregious bit of treachery, political treachery in history, and the media is corrupt and allowed it to go on. That was the essence of the speech. When it was over, many in the crowd then marched to Capitol Hill en masse. There were a lot of people. The Washington, D.C. authorities, I guess, weren't prepared for that. I don't know how they couldn't be, because that's where the process was going on. Now, inside the Capitol, there were senators and congresspeople together. And some Republican senators and congresspeople were objecting to certain states' electoral votes because they believed there was fraud in those states, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia. Okay, so that process is underway. And again, that process is entirely legal under our Constitution. But then the traitors, the seditionists, broke into the nation's capital, overwhelming Capitol Police. Now we have criminals. These are now morphed from protesters to criminals. You can wave the American flag all day long, but this is no different than the social justice people looting and burning buildings. It is no different. Okay, now those people, if they are identified, should go to prison, as should the looters, the arsonists, and the social justice people who hurt civilians and police. They are all criminals. I hope everyone understands that. There is no excuse for this. You do not run a country on mob rule. It's impossible. No matter what your sympathies are, you cannot condone this. And all of us must demand that the federal authorities prosecute those people who broke into the nation's capital. Hey, Bill O'Reilly here. As you all know, the dollar is at a 10-year low, and November could spell real trouble. That's why I recommend you consider physical gold and silver, and the only company I do business with in this area is American Hartford Gold. You can call them right now. Make sure you tell them Bill O'Reilly sent you, and they'll give you a free gold coin on your first qualified order. Since I have been recommending American Hartford Gold, gold's up over 40%, silver over 60%. So please don't wait. Call them now. 877-444-GOLD Gold. 877-444-GOLD Gold, or text GOLD to 65532.